there. Don't. Oh, ah. All right. Welcome. It's Houston with a Problem. We're Monday evening after dark show today. What's happening in the world, monkey butt? What's happening? Getting everybody the side eye. So we got it was revealed that there was $4.5 trillion of repo loans given to undisclosed banks, and in quarter four of 2019, Wall Street Parade revealed the article, and then their entire website went down. There's a couple of YouTube videos out there also talking about it, so people are starting to figure out what's going on. My own personal theory is that the tax cuts that were put in place in January 2018 essentially stagnated the market. So the market was flat for like 2 years. Not much growth. The Dow kind of stayed the same. Not much was happening. And the tax cuts that were given to these corporations did not trickle down to employees, did not result in more R&D or investment. What they did was they used that cash to do corporate stock buybacks and to keep stock prices at inflated levels. And corporate debt grew insanely in those 2 years. In 2019, it was reported that 109% of corporate profits were going towards stock buybacks, which means companies were borrowing money to buy back their stock to inflate the price. Why? Because the executives get huge bonuses when the stocks meet certain levels. And one of the problems with doing huge stock buybacks like that is that when you are investing in buying stock back and not investing in improving stores or customer experience or doing R&D for new products or expanding markets and whatever, is that your company starts to lose market share. And if you borrowed a bunch of money to do stock buybacks and then did not invest in expanding your organization, you start to run into trouble with reduced revenue, reduced sales, stagnating customer base, and then you can't pay back your loans. And we had a huge corporate debt bubble appearing in 2019, and I think the banks were really worried that a whole bunch of folks were going to default on these loans. And so all this cash that got infused would have been able to allow these lenders and bond issuers to renegotiate their debt, and that staved off a corporate debt crisis. And then we got hit with COVID, and then so much more money went out everywhere. Anyway, that's my own personal hypothesis as to the what and why of that. And then let's see here. What else we had? Well, we had a little bit of green today. That's great. I expect to have little bits of green, and then probably building up towards the end of week 2, beginning of week 3, we'll start to see lots of green. It's going to be bonkers. I was chatting with somebody today about the out of the money puts for a lot of these meme stocks. And, we've got, for AMC, there's 30 million shares involved with out of the money puts that are going to expire, at least 30 million. There's 300,000 put contracts that are out of the money and are going to expire worthless. And my guess is that those put contracts are being used as located shares to meet the Reg SHO loopholes, so that if you're delivering a fake synthetic share that goes down FTD, you can say, oh, no, I've got a potential share over here in this out of the money put option. I wouldn't doubt if those out of the money put options are being used for 10, 20, 100 times the actual number of shares in that pool of out of the money puts. So you think about it like, if you guess all naked, you have to locate the share. So guy at this hedge fund says, hey, you have these out of money puts. Can I use that as a location of share? Sure thing, no problem. And then another guy calls the exact same dude. Hey, can I use these? Sure, no problem. Can I use these? No, sure, no problem. And they start assigning. And then you might have hedge funds that, they sold 100 million shares and they use those same out of the money put options a dozen times across selling those things. So, I'm really wondering how they're going to reassign the location of those FTDs the minute they expire. Like, how long is it going to take them? Is there an automated process where they just reassign a whole bunch more out of the money puts that are set up for a year from now, 2 years from now? I'm very curious to see how they do it, and if they got time to do it before the liquidation monster comes and says you gotta buy. It's going to be very curious indeed. Okay, did I have anything else to talk about? I should probably talk about the Twitter fight I spent all weekend in. So I did Jackson Hunter's show, and he posted the video on Friday. And in the video, we talk about AMC and specifically the actions of the board at AMC and the executives involved. And people who watch this show know that I'm very critical of how they dump shares, when they dump shares, who they dump shares to, the fact that the board is liquidating their own holdings. And then people come up with excuses. They're like, well, the board doesn't get salary, so the only compensation they're getting is from selling these shares. That's not true. They get gigantic cash bonuses. 2020 was their worst year ever, their absolute worst year ever. And Adam Aaron still got $21 million in compensation, including like $10 million in salary and cash bonuses. So, and then January, not only are they, begging everybody for money and desperately needing cash to keep their company afloat, but then they have these bonds convert to 300 million shares and absolutely dilute the float. And then you have 52 million shares of insiders get dumped on the market as well. The stock prices crashes from its high at 20 whatever dollars down to $5 as a result of the flooding the market with all these shares, and absolutely kills the rally that's going on. And in the middle of that, the executives each get like $2 to $3 million cash bonuses. So if you're making millions upon millions upon millions of dollars a year in cash, just cash bonuses given to you, I'm not going to believe you when you say you have to sell your stock in order to make ends meet. I don't believe you. I am a firm believer that we need absolute animals in charge of AMC to see to it that this thing not just squeezes, but squeezes like a motherfucker. Just absolutely just squeezes the shit out of it. And these guys spent all weekend yelling at me that I'm a shill, that I'm an idiot, that I just have to trust the process. No, I don't trust the process. Why? Because the process is a naked short attack. And what naked short attacks involve is getting hedge fund insiders inside these companies in positions as board members and executives. You don't make the head of marketing for your company the guy who was in charge of Radio Shack, Washington Mutual, and Blockbuster. 3 companies that got vaporized out of existence, right? Like, why is that your head of marketing? I don't understand. These are folks who have a history of absolutely just torching whatever they touch, because the short hedge funds part of a short attack is requiring someone on the inside is toxic and a cancer and destroys everything. And as the fact that retail owners have 80% of this company, why don't we overhaul it? We can overhaul it anytime we want. And so if we just trust the process, then the process is going to work out for those who set up the process. We need to flip some tables and take over. The best benefit that GameStop had from this was sort of the hostile takeover of Ryan Cohen. He moved in there and he jettisoned a whole bunch of cronies out of that business and brought in his fellow weirdos. And we need some weirdos in AMC. And so after this whole weekend of talking about how, AMC is losing billions and billions of dollars, they're surviving on debt, and when they make cash, they make little of it when they could have made more by selling their stock to retail. They sell it to hedge funds or whatever. And then they use that cash to buy more movie theater franchises. And that is not how you're going to get your way out of this. You got to pay off your debt and have positive cash flow. And then Adam Aaron tweets today. He's like, hey, we've got a lot of really high interest debt and we had to take it to survive. And we got to figure out how to fix that. Well, My guess is the way that they'll fix it is a lot of that debt will be made into convertible bonds, and we'll see tens of millions or hundreds of millions of new shares added to the float as a result. The bondholders who get those shares, they're going to sell them. They're going to just dump them. And I bet you anything that when that stuff triggers or converts, it'll be right during a rally or a squeeze or whatever. So, we need to figure out a different way to make AMC healthy that doesn't just keep killing rallies. Because these convertible bonds usually have a price trigger. So if you got, I don't know, say $600 million in debt to somebody, and you change it to a convertible bond, if the stock price gets to like $35, it triggers all of those shares, all that debt to turn into shares, and boom, it floods the market. So it's specifically set up to kill rallies because they'll have millions of shares happen that. And this isn't to say that AMC won't squeeze, but the powers that be, they're sentient beings. They are our opponents. They think, they bob and weave, they adapt, they shift tactics. They try to figure out every underhanded thing they can possibly do. And if we aren't paying attention and like anticipating their actions, then they're going to be able to do these subtle little things that kill rallies every single time. Last June, AMC had every potential to go to triple figures and be absolutely damaging to the margins of hedge funds. And then the rally died like that because Moderate Capital got 11 million shares in the dark pool at a discount and then turned around and dumped them. We have to look at stuff like that. We got to go, hey, that's not cool, and demand that the leadership, addresses this stuff. And yeah, people were really pissed at me all weekend long for pointing that out. There's like two kinds of patriotism. There's the patriotism that you salute the flag and you do whatever the government tells you, and nothing, and America can do no wrong, and what have you. And then there's the patriotism of like, perhaps we can improve this. Perhaps we could do better. Maybe that wasn't the best thing we could have done. Maybe we should change things for the better. And I don't agree with towing the line. I believe that when you see a flaw, you fix it, or at least point it out so someone else who has the power can fix it. So yeah, so I spent a great deal of my weekend arguing with these guys who are like, debt's fine, debt's good, it's okay to have all this debt. And then Adam Aaron comes out and he's like, this debt sucks, we need to get rid of it. And then they got really mad at me twice because I was right. So, anywho, I'm sure we'll talk about that more later. But I'm missing some super chats here that have been popping in while I was ranting and raving. Moass for yo ass. Happy New Year, Houston. So can you give your honest take on the Hot Pocket? Hot Pockets owe you a commission because after that video, I bought some. Whew, I don't know why you'd buy some after that video. Hot Pocket, hot. Very little flavor, but smell garlicky. And about an hour later, from about midnight, so maybe by 1 a.m., 1 a.m. to about 7 a.m., my stomach was doing backflips, and I had about 25 Tums before it finally calmed down. I will never eat a Hot Pocket again. I will go the rest of my life, and I won't eat one. So there you go. That's my review of Hot Pocket. So if Hot Pocket wants to give me commission for that review, by all means, there's a dog butthole right there. Look at that. Showing everybody your little moonshot monkey. So that's not... I did it once. I'm good. There's better garbage food out there. Okay. Where is... Oh, meow meow. Any chance the market makers have been slowly burning all year to counter this month's options chain? Turn off your intro. Oh yeah, I did not turn off my intro. Doink. Oh, I got an error. I traded the button, now I've got an error. Uh-oh. Okay, intro turned off. I wouldn't doubt if the market makers have been shorting other things. So to keep a lot of these ETFs from exploding, they're shorting other things that are inside those ETFs to keep the overall ETF price down. If the price of the ETF is suppressed, then it translates to a suppression of the actual physical stock itself. I wouldn't doubt that they've been doing some things like that. But the big question is, I think, it relates to what are they going to do about assets under management if assets under management shrink? And Evergrande got delisted today in Hong Kong. There's another report came out that there's another like $200 billion in bonds that may go default this month. So we're going to see what happens and how they write this stuff off and how they spin it. Because, if across these institutions and banks, the tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in bonds are getting written off, then their assets under management shrink every time that happens. What are they going to replace it with? How are they going to replace it? What are they going to do about plays they made on margin that was tied to those assets under management? And if they use any of those bonds for repo, right? Like they're lending them to another institution for cash and they're worthless as collateral. Are they going to ever like pay back that loan and go, oh, sorry, bank, we gave those repos to, those collateral to, we don't want it back, so we're not going to pay you. Like how does that work its way down the line? I wouldn't doubt that market makers have been pulling strings and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, but I'm not sure we'll see it until maybe week 3 and 4 of this month, if they have weird plays going on in that regards. They talk about shell games and they're gonna be moving stuff all over the place. I think it's gonna be really weird. It's gonna be a really weird month. Oops, where'd it go? Darnell Wilson. Should we look to remove AA or his board if he looks to dilute or anything to help the shorts? They do need to sell shares. If they want to make cash, they have to sell shares. So if they're going to ask us for permission to sell 25 million, 50 million, whatever shares, it should come with stipulations. Stipulation number 1, you're going to sell to retail and not to a specific hedge fund or anybody else. Nothing on dark pool, on lit markets. You're going to sell and you're going to do it slowly. 25 million shares over 3 months. That should be something like that. They can sell maybe 1 million a day or less over that period, so they don't affect the volume in the day. Sold in small groups, 4, 5, 10, 100 shares here and there over that period of time throughout the day. They shouldn't be allowed to sell all at once, and they shouldn't be allowed to sell it over dark pools to a hedge fund, because that dark pool hedge fund just turns around and dumps it, and then it kills whatever price action was happening. GME had no problem raising several $1 billion selling a small amount of shares over a long period of time. At current prices, let's bring up the calculator here. At current prices, what was it, $30 or so? At $30, selling 30 million shares, right? Whoops, back one. We got almost $1 billion. So if they need to raise $1 billion, they can sell 30 million-ish shares very slowly at that time. And if they're lucky, some days it's green. Maybe it'll be back up in the $40, $50 range. And they might raise $1.5 billion. But if they're going to ask for those things, they have to come with some sort of plan that isn't something that's going to screw whatever rally is happening and kill price action. Adam Aaron got huge blowback after that June dumping to Mudrick, and he was like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, goodness, I'm so sorry. I'll never do that again. And then he and the board, right during the last rally in November, dumped all their personal holdings. So, via dark pools. And it's my big thing is that these are Harvard Business School bros, Wharton Business School bros, Northwestern University Business School bros. They all play golf together. They all have houses in the same, golf community. They all go to Vail together. These guys have known each other for decades. Their wives know each other. Their kids know each other. The kids go to the same private schools. They've been to each other's weddings. These dudes are not working for you and me. They're working for their buddies who they've known for decades, and they've done business ventures with, and they've asked for investment, and they've done swaps and whatever and gone to the same swingers parties. These guys are all each other's buddies. And, you know, the truth of the matter is that if their actions keep benefiting the hedge funds and not benefiting us, then will their next action benefit the hedge funds and not benefit us? If your mistake keeps making you money, you're going to make the same mistake over and over and over again. I think if Adam Aron wants my trust and loyalty, he's going to set up a plan that doesn't screw us over. And that's what they need to do. Okay. JC David, did I say that right? Has it already been proven that hedgies use AMC as a hedge against GME? If so, what other evidence do people need to realize that GME is the MOAS? I think GME is going to be the catalyst. I had my doubts in June during that run where AMC was going bonkers and shot up 500% in just a matter of days and then it just died. I was like, holy shit! If AMC gets to $100 a share, that's a $50 billion company. And then it never made it there because it killed it. And $50 billion in liability just on the float, not considering the billions of shares are probably naked, which result in hundreds of billions of dollars in liability. It had a real chance to be the catalyst. So AMC as a hedge, I don't know. I do think there are institutions that are hedging with it because institutional investment has gone up rapidly. But institutional investment has come from things like, 300 million shares appearing in the accounts of bondholders. And those bondholders, oftentimes they sold to institutions and whatnot. And you also have ways of getting millions of shares from the insiders. So Adam Aron, I can't remember the number of shares, 2 million or whatever shares that he's been selling. He's been doing it with a swap with JP Morgan. So JP Morgan gives them some of their diversified portfolio, thwonk, and they take the 2 million or so shares of AMC and put it into their portfolio. So it's a way for institutions to like build up their holdings as well to hedge against this. If JP Morgan has hedge funds underneath them that they've lent margin to that are really short on AMC, it does not hurt for them to have a holding of AMC that either they can sell at an insane profit or they can use to just close positions. It's a no-brainer for them on that. So, but I think it's harder to do for GME because GME didn't have convertible debt. GME didn't have direct sales to hedge funds and institutions of their shares, so they couldn't use the shares of GME in that same way to hedge. Okay, Adrian, I think the squeeze is going to be really violent because every hedge fund is going to want to be the first one to cover. It's going to be a race to cover. Well, okay, they've covered. Covering is what has happened. It's closing is that there's going to be a race to happen. I mix up the terms as well. Covering is when you sort of like, put a blanket over the situation. I said earlier, you guys remember that movie? It was Adam Sandler with the twins, and he finds out his dad, and they barf on the floor, and just like keeps putting newspaper over it. That is covering. It's like, okay, we took care of it. Closing is actually getting on your hands and knees and scrubbing the floor and cleaning up the bar from the floor. So will there be a race to close? I don't know. I think a lot of these guys are just hoping and praying that this thing gets kicked down the road again and again and again. But when it happens, you want to be the first one. You want to be the first one margin called or the first one voluntarily like, look, I'm out. And at that point, it's going to be a lot cheaper. It's when you get deep into it and there are dozens and dozens and dozens of hedge funds that are all being liquidated and all of them are being forced to buy. That's the nightmare scenario for these institutions and these hedge funds. They'd be happy if it's one at a time. Every 3 or 4 months, one dies. What they don't want is the assets under management to shrink so much, their liabilities and obligations on margin to explode, and then the powers that be have no choice but to liquidate, and it happens to a whole bunch of them all at once. That's the nightmare scenario that we would love. We want that graph to be as steep as possible, and not spread out over a long period of time, and that's what we're going for. And I don't know how many of them are going to be smart enough to voluntarily be like, I'm out. There was that one British hedge fund this summer. It was a small one. It had a few $100 million in it, and they made a bunch of bets on GameStop, and they were like, we're closing. We are not going to survive this. We returned our money to our investors, and we're done. There's very few of those that are that prescient. There's a lot of the groups out there that they're hard-headed. They've never faced consequences for their actions. They're greedy. They refuse to believe what's going on. They think there's going to be some sort of Deus Ex Machina that comes in and steps in and like the hand of God sets them free or something. And I think those are the ones that are going to be biting the dust the hardest. And I hope they do. So, yeah. Monty, what would be your take if January goes by and nothing happens to the price, stays stagnant with AMC? Oh, man. If the price stays stagnant with things after week 4 this month, then they have magic superpowers that are beyond my comprehension or grasp. There are so many options that are being triggered on the 21st that are in the money calls, and there's so many that are going to expire that are out of the money for puts. On a lot of these stocks, I think it's going to be I think it has to be a wild ride. We're going to get something similar to last January, because there's so many more now that are involved. Back in last January, there were only 10,000 retail investors in GameStop, and by the end of January, there was 900,000. Now there's millions. So the amount of capital that's from the retail side that's invested in this thing now is just bonkers. And a lot of them have options. A lot of them are buying long, deep out of the money calls a year ago, and it's going to pay off big time now. So if nothing happens with the price, if the price completely stays like it did in December, then we're going to have to reevaluate and figure out exactly what they're doing to keep this stuff from going bonkers. I'm not sure exactly what to look at, but we might see some weird plays they're doing in that regards. If you guys see anything that's weird, I'm sure you'll tweet it out or put it on Reddit or something, and we'll get better ideas of it all. We have 10 million investigators basically that are constantly scouring for news and information. We've got quite the intelligence apparatus going on here. Meow meow. Is it possible that all the DTCC could do is run a program to show fake stock prices to kill any squeeze? I'm sure anything's possible, but I don't know how they'd get away with it. I don't know if they had the power to show that stuff, because it's the exchanges that report, right? They report the prices, so it'd be the New York Stock Exchange, Apex, IDX, whatever that report all that stuff. So I don't know. Oh. If anyone has a good answer to that one, throw it in there. Greg, where can 116,000 in the money puts on AMC? Where can 116,000 in the money puts put us on AMC? There we go. Sorry, I'm totally reading that wrong. Where can 116,000 in the money put us on AMC? Also, what's Jamie's yearly calls look like? Where could that put us? Let's us to doink. Go to Chrome. Sorry, one sec. Is that one? No. That one? No. That one. Go to where's my friggin', where are you? Chrome, where'd you go? My Chrome vanished. Let me try that again. Come back, Chrome. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. We will try that one. And there we go. Okay, I got that one working. All right, sorry. GME options chain. What's Yahoo got for me? Okay, we're gonna look at 21st. So, in the money for GME for 21st. A lot of these suckers have been exercised. Holy smokes, a lot of them exercised. So we got 2,000 or so at the low range. A couple thousand. And we start to get, when we start to get up, we're at 152 here. When we start to get up, we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I'm on 21st, right? Yes, I am. Okay. So you got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Not too many that it starts to get a little bonkers at like 900 level, which is, I think, insane. But it's, oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong numbers here. I'm like, I totally looking at the wrong numbers. So, 2,000, 3, 4, 5, probably about 6, 7, 8, 9. So right now we only about 9,000 contracts that are in the money, but it's the ones that start to get up into the $200 range, which is where we were for much of November. We start to double that, and when we get to 500, we're probably what, 30,000, and then there's the bunch of lottos at 950 that are just hoping. But I think if it's 950, it'd probably be the week later if it does that. But it's the puts. The puts are the big ones to look at. We got 136,000, which is 13.6 million shares at 50 cents for GME. They're going to expire. Got another 30,000 at $1. We had another 20,000 on top of that, under $2. So we're at about 200,000 just at $2 in these puts. So that's 130, 160, 190, 200, 205, 220, 222, 225, 230, 40, 250, 260, 70. So if yeah, that's GME. So that's 2, 3, about 300,000 in there. So maybe about 300,000 puts expire out of the money for GameStop if GameStop doesn't move anywhere. You got another few thousand if we get to the 200 level and so on. That's 30 million shares. That's 30 million shares that are being used as locators for Reg SHO that all of a sudden can't be used anymore, which would automatically trigger a whole bunch of FTDs. So, you know, last year in January, we saw that there was, hundreds of millions of FTDs that were being triggered that last week of January. And I wouldn't doubt if we see that all over again. Maybe even more, since more people invested in this stuff and they never closed original positions. All they did was generate more. So yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing I'm most interested in is if this thing doesn't pop off like insanely, we may have to wait until sometime in February, end of February, when we get the FTD reports and see where those FTDs go, where they all go, if this stuff didn't happen. So hopefully we'll just know by the price action. We won't have to wait until February and be like, why didn't this happen? But it's going to be wild. Oh, shoot. I was ranting and raving and I just missed a super chat there. Grandpa Barney, P.S. bought more today. Fantastic. Fantastic, Grandpa Barney. Grandpa Barney, Jesus, wait, another freaking snowstorm again. Seaback got hammered. Your boy's pushing 24 hours heading to Hansville. Thanks, brother. I'll kick back and listen as I drive. Thank you, Grandpa Barney. Yeah, there might be thunder snow tonight out here. There's a weird storm front coming in the Seattle area, and it might get really cold for 2 hours and just dump a bunch of snow with thunder and lightning, and then just disappear again and be rainy. We've had weird weather this week. So if you guys don't know, we'll go to the Google Earth, because why not? We love the Google Earth around here. Google Earth. Google Earth. Oh, we're still on Mount Rushmore. Go back to Pacific Northwest because that's the place I know best. Zoom out. Head west. Okay, so with the Pacific Northwest, we got some coastal ranges like Vancouver Island, bunch of mountains there. The big coastal range for Washington is the Olympic Mountains, and depending on which direction the wind comes from, these mountains can really play a weird role in local weather patterns. So if the wind comes from the south, it comes right up through Puget Sound. Everyone just gets dumped on. Just rains and rains and rains and rains and rains. If it comes from due west, the Hoh rainforest that's in here they get hundreds, 400 inches of rain a year. The mountains cause the air to rise, and then it cools and just dumps precipitation. And by the time it gets to the other side of the mountains, it ends up being a little drier. Usually the wind comes from the south, so your dry area is up here in Sequim and Port Angeles, and Port Angeles only get like 16 inches of rain a year, and so they're in this like rain shadow. But if the wind comes from the north, it can hammer all sorts of areas in the Puget Sound, like Bellingham and Everett and northwards. But when it comes from the west, there's something weird that can happen. You get the stuff that comes over and then dries off on the far side, or you get the wind whip around from the north and wind whip around from the south, and when they combine, they hit each other and they make this big convection zone. So the air hits each other, rises really steeply, makes thunderheads, and can make all sorts of like weird local weather events. So a lot of times in these winter storms, you get this zone where the winds will hit each other, and depending on how strong the winds are and which direction they're coming from, it can be anywhere across the Puget Sound right here where the winds whip around and meet. So you can get weird localized snowfall in like Seebeck, or weird localized snowfall in Everett. When I was a kid, we got hit with one in 1990 that caused like 20 inches of snow and in one storm at my house, and then the next storm that came in, a few miles away, they got 20 inches of snow and we got nothing. It's really weird. But anyway, so right now we have this big storm system coming in from the west, and it's going to make for some weird patches of crazy weather, and it may miss me and hit somebody 5 miles away. It sounds like it's hitting Seebeck, which is right in here on this side of the Puget Sound. So they get hit with a whole bunch of snow right here, and how many miles away am I? Like 15 miles. So Seebeck's here. Whoops, wrong way. Seebeck to where I am is 10 miles. So we got no snow. They got like 10 inches of snow in just 10 miles. So both sea level, really weird. Yeah, weird local weather patterns. One of those wait 5 minutes or move 5 miles type things. Okay, back to Big Houston. Bing. Water. It's a lot of ranting. I need water. Okay. DevOdd09, thank you for the super chat. That's very kind. Very kind. Okay, now you guys gave me a lot of little colorful things to rant on here, and I've totally missed what's been going on. Oh shoot, it won't let me scroll past 7:10. So I'm only 40 minutes behind in the regular chat. That's not too bad. Okay. Let's see how people are mad at me for ranting. Okay, people are asking about Ryan Cohen's tweet, which is something to the effect of, "Don't overestimate a man who underestimates himself." That's what he said, right? And I think that came from, there was an interview with the head of Berkshire Hathaway who was asked about Elon Musk, and he said, "Don't underestimate a man who overestimates himself." And he kind of was saying that he likes people who are calm, cool, and collected, and he's not a big fan of Elon, but he's learned a lesson, and that weirdos like Elon can totally hit home runs that are unexpected, and you can't discount that they may miss a lot, but when they hit one, boom, it goes a long way. And so I think Ryan Cohen was kind of playing on that, and I'm not sure to what end he was playing on that, but I think it's a way of him sort of being self-depreciating, perhaps. So don't over. Oh, hey monkey. The overestimated man who underestimates himself. Something like that. I think that's funny. Whatever it is, it's cute. It's funny. Okay. Barf boo, you don't bet on the number 2 horse to finish in second place. You said it. Cancel bubble. I was pissed at you all weekend when I saw your microwave. Yeah, the microwave needs a deep cleaning. That's for sure. I was horrified when I saw the inside of it too. I was like, oh no. I don't know if someone just likes to boil chili in there or what, but it need the cleaning. It's not even that old of a microwave either. Bill Cohen used to stop confusing us with facts. Oh yeah, I never even saw the Rose Bowl float. What was the Rose Bowl float like? I never even saw what that looked like. Let's look it up. I want to turn Google Earth off. Go back to you. AMC Rose Bowl float. Rose Parade. Where's the AMC parade float? Which one is it? Spectator guide. Okay. Tell me your floats. What are these things? Of course, you're not going to tell me. I mean, these are pretty fantastic. It'd be fun to make one of these suckers. But which one? Taiwan China Airlines. Honda. Book Bring UPS store. There's a tournament, guys. Sing Poly American 8D. Oh, nope. That's the same thing all over again. I don't know what anyone know what it looks like? I don't know what it looks like. Where are you? Where are you, AMC Rose Bowl float? Couldn't even make the front page of the Rose Bowl website. Oh, that's the float. Oh. They had a screen. Yeah, this is the concept. It's making a little theater. And that was it. Oh. Okay. Well, at least you tried. Okay. All right. Well, need something. If you're gonna use your float as a big marketing piece on Twitter and whatnot, you need to make it absolutely bonkers. You need to make it so bonkers, so that people are horrified, then talk about it forever. Because any news is good news, right? So that's what the float should have been. Should have been absolutely just nuts, showing, I don't know, 9.5 weeks on that screen or something to horrify everybody. Oh well. Grandpa Barney, I need you to pump Grandpa Barney up for the MOAS. Feed me some good stuff. All right, good stuff. Good stuff coming. Okay, so we have an absolute boatload of these out-of-the-money puts that are going to expire. And these out-of-the-money puts are being used as coverage for their bad plays and FTDs that they have tens of millions of, hundreds of millions of at this point. When those suckers expire and a whole bunch of calls go in the money at, pretty high numbers, then those folks have to start buying shares like crazy. And we'll get a hell of a gamma squeeze in week 4. And we should see price increases similar to that as we did January of last year, January 27th, 28th of last year, when these stocks rose hundreds of percent in just a matter of days. And this time around, we're not starting at $2 or $10. We're starting at 150. So if we're going to see a 1,000% price gain in a week on a stock that's $150, then we could quite possibly see thousands of dollars a share. If we get to thousands of dollars a share on a stock that's overshorted by 1 billion shares, then we're looking at $1 trillion in liability that's all of a sudden appeared. $1 trillion or more, $2 trillion in just one stock, the liability that comes from that. And that causes margin calls. And if it's happening while these banks are writing off huge amounts of Chinese bonds that are duds, then the cash isn't available to provide liquidity to meet margin. There aren't people that can be like, oh, here's some cash. Why? Because all their cash is currently at the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve took $2 trillion of their cash in reverse repos and gave them a whole bunch of treasury bonds. So they don't have the cash on hand to provide this liquidity. They might be able to lend some assets to these guys, but then it's still a liability. So I don't know where they're going to get cash from to meet their margin requirements. And that's just going to trigger everybody having to do liquidations. So that's the biggest potential to happen come fourth week of January, is that we start to see these hedge funds implode because the cash no longer exists for them to meet margin requirements. And then that's it. That's all we've done. And I hope they don't have some sort of backdoor sneaky plan B somewhere that we aren't seeing, and they can't kick the sucker down the road. So Grandpa Barney, it's coming, man. It's coming. It is coming. Like a train. We're going to run a train on these hedge funds. Okay, James Heb. Hey, buddy. Just wanted to thank you for your conversation with Al. It was top tier. Hope you recovered okay from the Hot Pocket too. I did. It took a few hours, but I got recovered from the Hot Pocket. And if I ever make mistakes again, it's not going to be with a Hot Pocket. I learned my lesson. I'll try anything once, but I'm not going to do that one twice. I could be starving, crawling through the desert, on my hands and knees, bloodied, weak, in need of water and sustenance. Someone would be like, hey, how about a Hot Pocket? I'd be like, just shoot me. Because if I eat the Hot Pocket, I'm going to explode and die anyways. And that's just going to be it. I'm never listening to people again and eating something similar to a Hot Pocket ever. Okay. All right. So we're now, scrolling down and scrolling back up again, cut off another like 20 minutes of the chat, so I can't see anything above that. It's weird how YouTube does that to me. The aggro guy, keep going. I'm almost there. Don't stop talking. All right. Notice how the media only hypes AMC. How is that not suspicious to you? It is very weird that they'll hype AMC like crazy and they won't mention GameStop. And when people have like mentioned GameStop on one of these programs, they just get cut off. And if someone whispers in their ears like, shut up. But we might start to see weird gains again in the next few weeks that might force some neophytes in journalism to actually write about us again. We might see some articles trying to pop up like, what's with this GameStop thing again? These internet guys are being weird. We don't know what's going on. And hopefully that'll trigger a bunch of FOMO and we'll get a whole bunch of people going, oh, I'm going to get in on that. And we get the FOMO, we get the gamma squeeze, we get the force buying, and brah, everything goes nuts. Flight Guy 99. So what about BlackBerry, Bed Bath & Beyond, Cost, and others? Think they might be hedges? No, I honestly think like AMC is a squeeze play. BlackBerry, Bed Bath & Beyond, Cost, I think they're also squeeze plays. The ones that are going to squeeze the biggest are going to be the ones with the smaller floats. Cost is a weird one because there's no options chain, so there is no gamma that comes with their stocks. Like there's no price triggers along the options chain. But their float is so tiny. Their float's only 2.5 million shares or something. And so it doesn't take much for them to just be drowning in FTDs. But, you know, they had pretty steady price all year, and only in the last month or so has it dropped off. $160, whatever, $127 I think was their intraday peak. The close peak was like 60 or $70, and then they hit 44 in June, and then they hit 25 or so in October when they won that lawsuit against Apple, and then it's just been steadily down. So they're like $10, $12 right now, but their float is so tiny, and I don't think there's been closing. They haven't had any crazy volume days since that lawsuit got announced, the winning of the lawsuit, and that was, the price was $25, and the volume traded at like 4 times the float, which tells me there's still a shitload of shares out there that shouldn't exist. Greg, hypothetically, you have 3,620 shares of AMC and 135 shares of GME. What would your exit strategy be? Not financial advice. Well, the GME shares stays the same. If I had 135 shares of GME, I might start selling a little bit lower, maybe 50K, something like that, but steadily work the ladder. Sell one at a time, work my way up until the prices are absolutely silly. With AMC, start at 2,000, start at 5,000, sell a few shares at a time and work your way up when MOAS comes for that. For me, the key is you want to work your way over the peak, because the peak is going to be so stupid high. The only thing you do is sell a few of them and you're made. But if you're holding, if you're like diamond handing and you're holding until like it starts to drop off and then you sell, I think you're doomed. I honestly think that the buy pressure is going to vanish the minute the price starts to plummet, because that means there's no one else to buy it anymore. And retail investors are not going to invest $1 million in your share. They're too busy selling. And so all the buying pressure is going to come from these trading computers at the DTC and others, because they have to. They have to close these positions. So the minute they're done, they're done. So yeah, I am definitely ladder my way up and hopefully sell either a bunch towards what I think might be the top, or at least go over and then find somewhere to jettison the rest of them. But I hope I'm rich before I get to that point. That's my goal. Is that sell a few shares and be like, hey, I don't need to make my investment back, but there's now a Maserati in the garage or something. Scrolling. Okay, that was Greg. Meow meow. Next New Year's Eve, how about you try live streaming Twinkies, Slim Jims, and Kool-Aid? The classiest New Year's ever for ringing 2023. Now, this will be the bet. Will New Year's Day 2023 result in a blown out O-ring or horrible constipation? That'll be the bet everyone will take as to what that combo does to my insides come New Year's Day itself. What's your money on? Pepto-Bismol or X-Lax? Which one's it going to be? Okay. Looking for chats here. Honey Horsey, I'm at work drawing a hot dog in AutoCAD instead of the map I should be drawing. I'm a hedge fund. Invest in me. What? Are you using SolidWorks to make that hot dog you got there? Which program? When I was in high school, I became a certified engineer in the state of Washington because I took all of the engineering and drafting classes available, which doesn't really mean anything, but I was pretty good at AutoCAD 14, AutoCAD 2000. And then when I was at UW, I decided to take SolidWorks just for the hell of it, and it was really fun. And for 6 months, I had access to the program, and I was making all sorts of things in there. But then my student license went away, and they took my program from me. But SolidWorks was fun. And I wish, like, 3D printers were cheaper back then, because I would have loved to have had, like, SolidWorks and a 3D printer, and then be able to just be like, print whatever weird thing I want. And my best friend is the ultimate craftsman. He welds his own bicycle frames. He makes skis in the garage. He builds his own kayaks and paddle boards and whatever. And he'll use wood scraps to build a really cool wood paddle board. And then he just goes to his 3D printer, and rather than paying $100 for fins, he just designs his own and makes them and sticks them in there. It's really cool. I want a better, bigger garage workspace so I can make all sorts of stuff like that. Meow meow. Be big? Be big's got to be doing something soon. I guess their date of record was the 27th, and not sure when they're issuing their subsidiary stock, but it's got to be coming soon. And S3 reports had them at like 270% short interest just a couple months ago. So there's going to be something going on. I assume there's been some covering or closing or something happening. The price has been steadily going down. I would be buying if I were those guys, because now it's at $2 and change, down from a high of 14 or something. And it was like $8 just a couple months ago. So, if they're not trying to drive it to zero, and they might be learning that they just really can't do that right now, then someone's got to be closing positions, unless they're just so dumb. I don't think they ever want to close. I think they just want to avoid closing at all times and just won't do it. But B-Big's coming. B-Big's going to be one of those that squeezes with us. Sin Chan. Happy New Year, Houston. Happy birthday. Something feels different about this upcoming squeeze. Yeah. There's a confidence. There's an aura of confidence in the air. And I think that... what do you think, Monkey Dog? Are you confident? Are you a confident little dog? Yes, you are. There's something that feels kind of inevitable. Is that the right word? It's just kind of like, there's a train coming. You're standing in a tunnel. You see the light, and the light's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's coming. There's nothing going to stop it. That's where I feel I am right now. I'm in that train is coming realm, and we're gonna choo-choo. We're gonna choo-choo all over them. If you guys have good ideas, I was thinking about that, because week 4 is Charity Tuesday. I'll be in Switzerland for Charity Tuesday. It might be around my 100th show, somewhere in there, somewhere in that range. It's going to be a 100th live stream. I'm going to try and have Josh Hamilton on. I don't know if it'll be Charity Show itself for the 100th, but somewhere in there. What charity should I do for January? People give me charity ideas, and they've totally just left my brain at the moment. But if you guys have good charity ideas, throw them in there, and we'll see what we can do for Charity Tuesday this month. And hopefully it's during MOAS, if we're lucky. Or at least a really big green rally. So we do what we did. The last time we had a really big green rally in August, we raised a boatload. We raised $2,500 for Second Story for a bunch of abused children that are in limbo and need a place to stay. We raised so much money for them. It was like 1% of that charity's entire yearly operating budget, and that was awesome. So hopefully we'll have a nice big green Tuesday on the 4th week of January, and we'll just kick some ass for that charity. Okay. Gorilla Fund is a good one. Homeless veterans, good. Yes. Okay, we're getting there. All right, so I am half an hour behind the chat. Woo! All right. Yeah, you don't want a billion float Brett Stonks on your squeeze play. That just gives too many options for them to like shuffle stuff around at that point. Fee runs with AMC. It's not that I'm hateful about AMC apes. It's that, there's so many potential catalysts that just slip through the fingers. And one of the things you want as a company is you want the company to be profitable. You want the company to have cash on hand. And the Q4 numbers for movies are going to be great. I wouldn't doubt AMC sees green, that they go in the black for Q4. But this quarter is going to be abysmal. There's going to be limited releases. The movies that are coming out in January and February are going to be really crappy. We've got Omicron going bonkers. We've got people going down sick everywhere. There's going to be restaurants and other things that just doesn't have the workers because of illness. And people are going to be shy about going out. So I think this coming quarter is going to be just a desert for AMC. And so, they're going to have to run on the really great quarter four. So when they give their reports, like, dude, quarter four was awesome. It's fantastic. And kind of minimize what's going to happen for quarter one for them. And, they might be able to use that great quarter four to restructure some debt to turn it into more long-term at lower interest rate, refinance, whatever. But the goal needs to be to get a bunch of cash on hand and make sure the debt isn't greater than their earnings right now. The one thing they have going for them is they got $10 billion in assets because they own property all over the place. So that $10 billion in assets is fantastic. But, losing $3 billion a year in revenue is not great. And COVID is really going to hurt them if this thing keeps going. So I think AMC has to tread a line. They have to figure out how to raise capital, push off debt, pay off debt without pissing us off and killing rallies. That's going to be their goal. And, we'll see how they can do that. Sinchan. Shout out to Benjamin. Resistance is futile. We are Borg. All right, Benjamin. I'll accept that. We'll be Borg for now. As long as we got cool Borg Hawaiian shirts. I would love to see an episode of Star Trek where the Borg took over a luxury cruiser and it's just a bunch of senior citizens in Hawaiian shirts who are Borg. That'd be great. That'd be something they should do for Lower Decks. If you guys ever seen Lower Decks is so funny. Meow meow. Why did Adam Aarons seem to help the shorts who were trying to kill this business? He should be like Ryan Cohen. Do you think he took a bribe? I don't think it's a bribe. I think it's just that it's his buddies. They come to him like, hey man, want to play golf on Sunday? Totally, I'll play some golf. Sweet. And they get on the golf course like, hey, so I heard you guys need to raise like $230 million. You just sell us like 11 million shares at $27 a share and we're cool. Sure thing. We'll do it on Monday. Sold. And that's how that stuff gets done. It's a good old boys network and we ain't in it. Now there's a different culture over at GameStop and those folks are weird. They're weirdo programmers that are all like savant programmers and stuff, and they don't think that way. They don't go to the golf course. They don't go to the country club. They play video games in their basement and, crash Ferraris into parking garage walls. They're just doing something different and they care about different things, and they're not the business school bros. They didn't go to Harvard Business School. They didn't go to Wharton. They got a CS degree at Stanford maybe, or a computer science degree at University of Texas, or a computer science degree at University of Washington, wherever. They're a different category of person that does not come from, this prep school, business finance school background, and they just don't think that way. They aren't friends with the same people. The one finance guy they might know is their CFO or the person who is their money manager, and then beyond that, they're just a bunch of dudes. And they just think differently. So, they're going to operate on a different level than the insider type cronies do. Dave B. Jenny 21 first options expire week 4. GME squeezes, but those options won't trigger AMC. AMC has that stuff too. We can look at the AMC options chain. AMC options chain. They got something similar going on. But what happened last year with AMC is that AMC had those convertible bonds get triggered. And so all the FTDs in AMC got filled by the dumping of the holders of those convertible bonds. So they had, just a fortune, absolute fortune in 300 million shares. So if you've got 150 million FTDs and 300 million shares appear on the market. It gives the people opportunity to actually close out positions and find the shares they need when they're forced to buy. So, let's go 21st. So 21st, in the money for AMC from 50 cents up, we got 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 6, 8, 11, basically 20, 26, 36, 46, 56, 76, 86, 90. We got about 100,000 calls that are in the money for AMC right now. And if we get above the $30 range, $35, we add another, I don't know, 30, 40,000. If we can get to the $40 range, we're at 200,000 plus calls. That's 20 million shares they got to buy. But if we look at the other side, we look at the puts, down 50 cents, we're at 25,000 puts, 50 cents. 35, 40, 50, 60, 75, 85, 100, 5, so that's about 110, 125, 130, 170,000 at $10. So that's about 200 and change. So yeah, about 300,000 or so for AMC right now. They're out of the money. That's 30 million shares for AMC. They're out of the money. And so they're going to have a boatload of FTDs trigger as well when these suckers all expire. Because they won't be able to use them as locations for Reg SHO anymore. So it's kind of the weirdness that we're dealing with. Yeah, they got a lot. And if that price gets up really high, like the folks who have the stuff in the $31 range, they may want to exercise those things soon. Because, yeah. Because then once they expire, that's just lost money, lost money, lost money, lost money, lost money. If you are a holder of these puts at $30, get 17,000 and change, I would exercise that sucker right now. Because in a week's time, you may be out of the money. There's a lot of big puts in here. Like, who bought a $65 put? Especially 1,000 of them. That's nuts. Crazy, 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 crazy. Wait, somebody I think sent me. Is it important? Did I get an important message from someone? TMI is in chat. Oh, hey, TMI. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, bud. I haven't seen you in a while. We should do another show together. If the Mass Investor guys, I haven't seen him. We did a show. It was with you, Vix, and Jamie. And Jamie had just gotten his second COVID shot and was like totally loopy the entire time. But it was a fun show. So yeah, let's chit chat sometime. Okay. Meow meow. Species 8472. Borg, Gem, Hadar, or Q. Who's the baddest of the bad? Ooh. Well, Species 8472 kicked the shit out of the Borg. Absolutely just annihilated them. They were. If you guys didn't watch, it was Voyager, right? Yeah, it's Voyager. So Janeway and crew are stuck across the galaxy, and they find this weird like alternate universe, shadow parallel universe. And these species came out and were just annihilating the Borg because they could biologically adapt faster than the Borg could adapt technologically. And so species 8472 is pretty gnarly. But 8472, being biological organisms and being, I don't want to say human, but reasonable. Reasonable? Like the Borg is logical, but you can't reason with them. Species 8472 is like, whoa, we won't kill you guys if we don't have to, but I want you to know that we can. And that's kind of what happened with 8472. Is that we felt the common bond of, I don't want to say humanity because that sounds ethnocentric to humans in a universe that has all sorts of different creatures. But it's a pretty interesting thing there. Q, if Q wanted to, Q could outborg the Borg any day of the week because Q is basically a magical being. Yeah. Jim Hadar. Borg is bad. The others can be bad. Put it that way. Like the Borg is just gonna be bad. The only time that they won't be bad is when it absolutely benefits them and they have no other option. They're backed into a corner, such as they're facing species 8472. You guys gonna get me talk Star Trek nerd stuff for a while, and I should probably avoid that. I'll see these numbers just start to dip. I do like Voyager a lot. Voyager I thought was a fantastic program. Just top notch all the way. That was Roger D. Moore. He was the guy that did Battlestar Galactica, the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, which in my opinion is the greatest television show ever made. I'll put that above The Wire. I'll put that above Sopranos. I dig me some Battlestar Galactica. It's like a 5-year-long soap opera in space. Okay. Monkey butt. I gotta scratch your head every once in a while so that you know that I'm paying attention to you. Okay. Squamps, one thing is for certain, all retail shareholders want Kenny G to crap in his hands and then clap. Yep. Nailed it. I agree. Meow meow. Coral Castle, your thoughts on how he did it? Telekinesis. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's, you know what? I'm gonna have to ask Dr. Erin McDonald. I met her several years ago. I did a pilot for a kids show for History Channel, and she was one of the guests on it. And she's the science advisor for all the Star Treks. And if anyone would know, she would know. I'm gonna have to ask her. Astrophysicist, former professor, and then now does like. She's funny. She said that of all the Star Trek shows, the only one that truly listens to her advice is Lower Decks. That they try to make it as scientifically accurate as possible. In the shows of the live people are like, meh, we'll fudge it. So found that kind of funny. That the most accurate is the cartoon show, which is pretty true. I still haven't seen the most recent season, but that show is funny. Has Tawny Newton in it, and hey Tawny, I've got a crush on you, girl. She cracks me up. Okay. Okay. I'm getting through the parts of my rants here, and everyone's either yelling at me or high-fiving me at the moment. So, nope, Flight Guy. There we go. Saved by Flight Guy and some coordinates. That'll work for me. All right, Flight Guy, where are you taking me? Google Earth. Do-do-do. We're going not far away. Eastern Washington. Oop, we're in the Coulees. We are... Is it Soap Lake? No. Sun Lakes? Where are we? That's a little mesa. Right. Oh, Sun Lakes. Yeah, Sun Lake State Park. It's actually a really nice place. I recommend Sun Lake State Park. This is the park side over here at Park Lake. Lots of great swimming in here. In the summertime, that water is just perfect. I have a friend... over here at Blue Lake that's got a little cabin. There's like a trailer park community here for vacationers. They got a cabin in there. We spent a lot of time water skiing in here. Up this coulee, to this coulee here, there is a rhinoceros. I don't want to call it a rhinoceros. It was a rhinoceros. Lava flow came over it, burned out the entire rhinoceros, and then the coulee ate away at all the lava rock that was here. And so now the rhinoceros is a cavern. So you can like go and climb inside the rhinoceros. That sounds weird. But there's fun cliffs to jump off of and great place to go swimming and whatever. The Grand Coulees are just gnarly. So Dry Falls is right in here as well, right? Isn't it? Right by Coulee City? Where's Dry Falls? Dry Falls, where are you? I thought Dry Falls was in there. Let's do Dry Falls. Yeah, Dry Falls is right there. Okay. Same spot. So Dry Falls is this thing here. So the water came rushing down. I think I talked about this before. During the last glaciations, big ice ages, out in Missoula, where the river comes out here, got blocked off by a glacier. So all of this valley filled up with water over thousands and thousands of years, became this huge glacial lake blocked by a glacial dam. And at certain periods, the water would either get too great or the temperatures would warm up and the glacial dam would burst. And this huge flood of water would come roaring across eastern Washington and basically turn all of eastern Washington into a 100-mile wide river going 100 miles an hour, just carrying mountains with it and just scouring through this old lava rock. And Dry Falls was a mile wide, 1,000-foot waterfall that would appear. And so these canyons, these are called coulees. These are ancient canyons that were carved by these huge floods of water that came through. And they flooded all across eastern Washington. So there's spots out here in the Scablands, out here that, the water, the way the soil looks like if you go to the beach and you have wave action and you have like snorkel mask and you put your head under the water, you can see these little ripples in the sand form that, they're a few inches wide and whatnot. They have ripples in the sand that are miles across out here from these huge floods that came roaring through. And it's absolutely bonkers. Which falls is that? That's Rock Lake. I remember the name of the waterfall. Pullman Falls? Pullman? Another coulee that came roaring down. So, this stuff came roaring down, ripped through the Columbia Gorge, filled up, made a giant temporary lake in the Willamette Valley, and then flooded out the Columbia River out in the ocean. And it happened dozens of times throughout these glacial periods. And they're so bonkers. So what happened with the coulees up here is that the water roared through and cut out so much lava rock that now the bottom of the canyon of these coulees is actually at the water table. So they have this whole series of lakes. And you got Sun Lakes, you got Park Lake, Blue Lake, Lake Lenore. So Lake Lenore is cool. It's an alkali lake, so nothing can live in it. And the military after World War II took all their sodium deposits. They didn't know what to do with all the sodium, so they drove to the top of these cliffs and just push them into Lake Lenore and watch them explode, and like roll down 1,000 feet off the cliffs into the water and just do giant explosions because everything's dead in that lake anyway because it's an alkali lake. So you can search for crazy videos of those guys doing that. I better not get a copyright strike if I do this because this is public film, so I'm going to find that for you right now. Turn off the Google Earth. Twink. We're going to go... No, get small. Sodium Lake Lenore. Yeah, this is the stuff. Here we go. Supposed surplus sodium, 1947.
20,000 pounds of highly dangerous metallic sodium head for destruction in Lake Lenore, Washington. The government surplus chemical ignites and explodes when wet. The alkali lake is devoid of fish and forms an admirable disposal spot. A 3,500-pound container of sodium hurtles into the lake and crashes through a foot of ice. As the water seeps in, smoke rises through a series of muffled explosions.
What we can do with this industrial waste? We're going to drilled into an alkali lake.
The acrid clouds billow several thousand feet over the steep sides of the lake. Disposal of the chemical by the War Assets Administration is made necessary because no public carrier will accept it for transportation to a purchaser. One after another, with varying effects, the containers go up with spectacular results as water and sodium meet. A once lethal war chemical becomes a peacetime pyrotechnic display.
All right, enough of that. Enough of that. Okay. Good stuff. The voice on there, I can't remember the voice, but I think it was the Mid-Atlantic accent. News for you from me. I'm a Mid-Atlantic announcer. I wish all news guys still talked like that. And then they switched to the Nebraska accent, so you got guys like Tom Brokaw, and they're like, Gerald Ford dead today. Okay. Grandpa Barney, food banks. It's a good one. Yes, thank you, Grandpa Barney. Eric Gomez, Houston. Do Washington State have capital gains taxes and did get lots of snow? Yakima did. I think they keep trying to do capital gains taxes in Washington, but I don't think there are any state level ones yet. The legislature keeps trying to do it because we are a tax haven for rich people. There's no income tax, and basically everything is property and sales tax. There are some B&O taxes, business and operating taxes, but there's folks, you'll have billionaires that they operate their business in California or New York or wherever, and then they'll buy an island out in the San Juans, and I'll be their primary residence. As long as they spend a few months a year here, then they don't have to pay any income taxes if they're living in an income tax state like California or New York or New Jersey. And I think because there isn't the capital gains, they also get away with it here. So I don't think there's any capital gains for Washington yet. So they keep trying. Okay. Liz Clayman. Hey, Houston, I'm going to report your stalker on Twitter. Happy New Year. Thank you. Yes, report away. That guy's really weird. I mean, recently, he got put on timeout for being weird, and then when he got back from timeout, he said that I'm the type of guy that the Nazis would round up and kill. I'm like, well, yeah, my mom's Jewish. That kind of explains. And he was like, wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't it be fantastic if Nazis just rounded up and killed Houston? I was like, report. And then I haven't heard anything from Twitter. They seem to be I think that they're inundated with terrible people on Twitter, and they just don't have time to go through everything. So they go, hey, we'll look at it later. And then like 4 months later, he did a bad thing 4 months ago. Chris Hart, anyone waiting for a stock crashing tweet from Musk? I think it's pretty convenient that Elon Musk got out of he sold his $30 billion in stock, and then Tesla announced that they're going to recall a quarter of all the cars they sold. Really convenient there. Like, if it comes out that Elon knew ahead of time that this recall is going to happen, and then he decided to sell stock and then make it public, he might be facing some Martha Stewart time for that. That'd be insider trading if that's the case. Pinnacle photography. Eating a hot pocket should be considered a catalyst, and this should be consumed during trading hours. Whew. Someone sent me the Jim Gaffigan Hot Pockets thing, stand-up routine, and it's like, there's breakfast Hot Pockets. You have a Hot Pocket for breakfast, have a Hot Pocket for lunch, and be dead by dinner. What is the FTD count? The FTD count, they just released the data for the first half of December, and there was, I think, peak 400,000 AMC FTDs and 175, 200,000 for GME for that first week of December. Now, they'll say that each day is a cumulative of the day before, so if it goes down, then a whole bunch were closed. If it goes up, that means the yesterday's were added to the next days. It just kept rising. The FTDs, though, the FTDs for last January were absolutely just insane. I think there was 90 million FTDs on GameStop for a float that's only 60 million, 65 million at the time. Or sorry, entire not float. Float was like 50 million, but the entire stock numbers out there was like 65 million. So, you know, if you're getting 90 million FTDs on a stock, that should really tell the SEC something. But I don't think anyone's really looking. They just go, oh, publish the data, move on. But I think we'll get FTDs week 4 of this month that are going to be in that millions of dollar range. Chakuseki, your soccer is smegma incarnate. Thoughts on a side bet squeeze play on Dilliard's? Heard it has a lot of locked up shares and high short interest. I don't know Dilliard. Dilliard's department stores. I clicked the wrong one. Dilliard's Yahoo Finance. Let's go there. DDS. Doctorate of Dental Sciences. That's a pretty high price. $250. What's their reported? Financials. Where? DDS short interest percent. Okay, I'm just gonna get a bunch of. Oh, it's because I did shy instead of short interest. My fat fingers. Arc, Ehor. What's Ehor gotta say? Ehor hasn't announced it yet here. I'll have to look into it more. I don't know Chakraseki. The short interest is not immediately popping up here, and if I got to go searching for it, that's gonna take forever. Alexandra Haquin, Houston. I know that you read a lot to get your research done on a company, but is there more to find good stock to invest in? Because, you know, Kramer sucks. Thanks for your good work. Like the Wall Street bets and similar communities, there are lots of pump and dumps in there, but every once in a while there's a jewel. There's someone who's like, hey, I found this thing, did this thing, and others will always look into it, and they'll be the peer review of, you're just a shill, you're trying to pump and dump, and then someone's like, no, wait, look at this, I can confirm this data. Sometimes that stuff works, and sometimes the pump and dumps work in your favor. Like when they did Rocket Mortgage, February, March of 2020, there was a huge pump and dump in Rocket Mortgage. You know, they've got a relatively small float, a huge institutional ownership, and insider ownership, and because of that pump, because people got excited, those who invested at $20 sold at $40 and made a fortune, and then went right back down again. So, you know, there are times when you can get in on that stuff, and as long as you get out, like, hey, I made my money, I'm done. You can come out a winner. But yeah, Ehor at S3. You can kind of look at some of the short interest stuff he does. The way they calculate their short interest is really weird, and is not necessarily representative of actually how short something is, because they don't ever count a share if it's been lent twice. So sometimes it can be underrepresented. But he'll give you leads on that stuff. He'll point out like, hey, look at Naked, look at Be Big, look at Root, look at and then just start posting like snippets of these stocks to say, hey, what's the deal with this? This company is profitable. Why they have a 50% short interest? And since we're not all short interest hunters right now, and all of us are doing these, looking for these squeeze plays, it's stuff to look at. There's only so many squeeze plays you can be invested in though. And the biggest one is going to be GME. So, if you fray and get distracted by a whole bunch of other squeeze plays, you may win in the week 4, but don't get too distracted. That's why like a bulk of my holdings right now, it's not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but bulk of my holdings right now are GME with a couple of side plays because I need to keep my bird brain occupied. I got to pick at something just to see what else happens. But I'm not sure where I'm going with this recommendation. But read up. Just read it. Read everything. And then question it. And then look at the arguments that happen. And then get involved in the arguments that happen. And let somebody convince you. And, that's what I recommend. How does that work? Hope it does. Okay. Okay. Did I miss any? Sometimes I get yakking and then I miss a super chat and it comes through. So it's Chakuseki. That was Eric Gomez. I did that one. Grandpa Barney got you. Okay, cool. All right, so we're only, hey, and I got cut off at 8 o'clock on the chat there, so I'm only half an hour behind the chat. Hey, the Massive Investor. There he goes. Shout out to you. He said, hey, Massive Investor. Let's do another show. Let us do another one. I'll hopefully be in Switzerland. I leave a week from tomorrow. I hope. I don't know. Everyone can't find any tests around here. I have to get tested before I hop on the plane. And I'll probably get tested, get put in a tube with 300 other bodies, and then land in Switzerland with Omicron and then be stuck giving it to everybody in Switzerland. I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully I will go skiing and have a great time and then do shows with beautiful, snowy... Where my friend's house is, their neighbors have like a whole bunch of ducks and chickens that just... There's a little pond and they walk around the snow and stare at the pond and it's so just pretty. We'll do a show with some ducks and some chickens and snow. All right. All right. How about monkey butt walk sometimes so she's not so bored? I should do live monkey butt walks. But the weather's been so gross that hasn't been... Most of monkey butt's outdoor time is I open the back door, she runs out in the yard, does her business, and comes just roaring back in because it's wet and gross out there. But we'll try to get some monkey butt walks in. She's going to be really pissed off because next Tuesday she goes to go stay with a friend for 2 weeks. And she's going to be so mad. Oh, man. She knows. She knows if she sees the harness come on, because like smaller people have to walk her with a harness because she'll just pull them over if she sees a squirrel. Then she's like, oh, I'm going to go see Shawnee and I'm going to be stuck in Seattle. Ugh. So, sorry, buddy. Preparing for you now for that disappointment. Bum, bum, bum. Jennifer Lopez's middle finger is kind of up there for one of my favorite names on here. Some of your names, man, they just crack me up. I'm just Houston Wade, so I'm not that creative or fun with my name. All right, what do we got? Yeah, me cool. January 21st does look very interesting. Or what happens after January 21st? That weekend might be a very interesting weekend for a lot of hedge funds. That's the weekend I would think if crypto is going to take a giant dump, it would be that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that crypto just gets hammered as these guys are trying to come up with enough cash on hand to meet liquidity requirements. Carlos Oreo Cruz, thank you for that super chat there. Is that a barfy drooly face? The faces they have for these things are so weird. Okay. Squonks, my COVID booster shot took a dump in my brain. Yeah, one of my roommates got his COVID booster on Thursday, and he did fine for the other two. He had Moderna, I think. He did fine for the other two, and this one, he was like, I'm dying. I think I'm dying. And he just bitched and moaned for like 6 hours, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Let's watch a movie or something. So, yeah. We did the John Wick movies for New Year's Eve, and then I ate my Hot Pocket. Mr. Deadshot, have you heard the latest bullcrap with Fintel blocking people? Yeah, they blocked a couple of big names. I think they blocked Trey's Trades. They blocked Jackson Hunter. They blocked some others. I checked. I'm still on. I'm not important enough for them to block me yet. But folks were questioning their short interest data. And some of them were subscribers to Fintel. Like, they subscribe and pay money for the service, and they got blocked. So that's not a good sign. And then people discovered that, hey, the guy who runs Fintel also has his own hedge fund that does shorting of stocks. And so people are like, that seems like a conflict of interest. So yeah, there seems to be some dirty info now coming out regarding Fintel and their conflicts of interest that were. Oh, I miss Liz claiming super chat. I'm so sorry. So sorry, Liz. I didn't mean to. I miss super chats constantly. Where's Liz claiming? Chakuseki, Eric, Grandpa, Meow Meow, Meow Meow, Dave B. Oh no! Did I miss a Liz claiming super chat? I'm so sorry if I missed your super chat, Liz. Is that the one where you said that you're going to report my stalker? If so, I saw that one. But now it won't let me scroll up high enough, which is a very annoying thing about YouTube, is that if I scroll down to read something at the bottom, I can't scroll back up because it just disappears like an hour's worth of chats all of a sudden. Liz, I apologize. I'm so sorry. Thank you for super chat. I am a fool for having missed it. I get yicky-yakking, and then I don't see the little bright blue color come up in the corner of my screen, and I just keep talking. And I apologize. Okay. Yes, so Fintel's blocking people. I mean, they did show like, hey, we've got some weird death threats from folks. I totally get that stuff. Like, you don't want to get death threats from people. No one does. And that's why they started being vigilant on their Twitter account. But at the same time, you had folks that were just doing proper criticism, and all of a sudden you're like, no. I try not to take the ban hammer myself to people too often, but if I'm dealing with someone and they want some sort of debate, and I ask them a question and they keep refusing to answer the question, like this weekend, one of the guys that were all over my nuts on me criticizing the AMC board, I asked him, I was like, do you want AMC to be a successful, profitable company? And you just post a meme of like someone barfing. And I was like, why do you want AMC to be a profitable, successful company? And he posts a meme of like an elephant pooping or something. And I was like, buddy, just answer the question or you're getting the ban hammer, and just post a meme of somebody like picking a booger. So I was like, done. I get it. Sometimes just to make your life easier, you go, you know what? These dorks aren't actually invested in having a dialogue of any kind. It's a waste of my time, waste of their time, waste of people reading. Done. And then they may just talk bad about me until they get tired where I can't see it. But it happens. And there's, weirdos that stalk. and do weird stuff. Like, yeah, boink, bye-bye. People that threaten people, want to bring up violence, I get it. But those that are there to criticize, if you can't answer a valid criticism, then, like, that's your job, man. People are paying you money for your service, and they're asking a question, and if you can't answer their question, then why? Why are you presenting this bad faith instead of just going for blocking, some big accounts? Okay. Foley Insider, what's your latest take on metamaterial and the metamaterial Torchlight preferred shares? Also, what do you think is the most dangerous thing facing mankind to this day? Still the stone cold stunner. Okay, so the metamaterial Torchlight preferred shares are supposed to swap into Oilco. I don't know how long it's going to take. I thought it was going to start today, but when the merger happened and the Torchlight shares are supposed to become metamaterial shares, it took like weeks longer for it to appear in your account that way, and it just took time. So it might be slow because the QSIP changes are really slow, but those Torchlight preferred shares are supposed to become Oilco. Now, on the 21st of January, we still have Torchlight shares, like the physical Torchlight shares left over from pre-merger that are available to be purchased via options contracts until January 21st. And there's a bunch of them who have not been exercised yet. That being said, the Torchlight preferred shares, which are the holders for the dividend that's becoming Oilco, those apparently only, was it GRS? Only one market maker is allowing the trading of those shares to go through their system. Everyone else is like, no, I'm not touching it. So that's where all the trading's happening. It's becoming an oil company, but it's going to be a short-lived oil company because if the rumors are true, the oil fields that the oil company owns will be sold sometime this month. And if that happens, then the oil co becomes a cash dividend again, and we get a dividend out of it. Now, the fact that Torchlight shares are still trading via these options, and apparently trading in overseas markets as well. And you got weird stuff. You've got Metamaterial X, which is the Canadian exchange shares, and those are still trading, but they're going to merge into the regular Torchlight shares, and like 100 million shares the float are going to vanish. There's weird things happening this month in that regard. So if we've got a cash dividend coming, we've got a whole bunch of Torchlight shares that are still trading around and available, and we've got a shrinking of the float by 40% happening at some point. My guess is that March is going to be the time at this point for Torchlight to go weird. Look at T35 for those Torchlight shares, and that should be the beginning of the weirdness for them. And I don't know if any closing has been going on, if the short hedge fund's been buying up the Torchlight preferred shares, because a whole bunch of those I think were naked, that came from naked stock, and they've got to buy up a bunch of them if they don't want to be financially liable for any huge dividend that happens. Because if they sell the oil field, they sell the oil for $4 billion, they might be liable for $10 or $20 billion in payment in lieu for all those Torchlight preferred shares that exist, and they don't have that cash. No one has that cash. So it's in their best interest to close out as many of those shares as possible. And I think that's why they wanted to make them tradable, because it was written as these shares shall not be tradable. Then all of a sudden they started trading because they leaned on GRS or someone to make it happen. So January is going to make for some exciting news from them, but I think it's the FTDs that will come about in March that will kind of result in the big time gains for them. Sir David P. Shout out to all the Wades, Gurks, and Doomslayers trade spotting in this chat. Also, no GME shares traded due to illiquidity, so short hedge funds don't gap up. Okay. All right, Sir David P. Okay, where am I? 8:46. I've got 15-ish minutes left on today's show. I'll hopefully we'll do a Twitch stream sometime tomorrow. Do a Tuesday Twitch stream. I've got to start getting things ready so I can travel, which means gotta do laundry, gotta clean stuff, and make sure this sleepy little bugger's so happy for her last week at home before she's got to go stay with other people. Pete Diaz, I'm blocked. Now where do I get false data? Yeah. Speedy, like Star Trek Discovery. I have not seen Star Trek Discovery yet, so I don't have is it Paramount Plus? Is that what it's on? It was CBS All Access. My sister had it at her house, so when I was there like a year and a half ago, I watched all the Lower Decks while I was there, but I didn't get a chance to watch the other ones. Bullish on Houston's second intro. Super chats. If nothing happens by end of February, I really think many people will be throwing in the towel. It will really help if we see at least a good jump to KTF. Yeah, I think we will. The Houston predictor monster, which only works randomly. My gut and brain are telling me that week 4 is going to be some good times for us. And then we'll get another good time. If it doesn't fully squeeze by then, we'll get another good time come March when those T35s trigger. And then we'll get another good time come end of May, beginning of June when the T35s trigger again. It'll be like, whoop, 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 whoop. And then it'll happen all again next January. So yeah, there you go. Bones, as someone who appreciates math, space, and humor, do you watch Futurama? Hell yeah, I watch Futurama. Futurama is genius, and I wish was still on, making new shows. And The Expanse, heck yeah, I like The Expanse. I know 2 people who were on The Expanse. My neighbor, Elizabeth Mitchell, was in season 2? Season 3. Can't remember which. And then Cass Anvar, who was the pilot, the Martian pilot, Alex, till last season. Apparently he had some Me Too problems, and so they got rid of him. So if you go into sci-fi conventions and you are a celebrity, don't grow up your fans, man. You don't do that. Okay. P. Jimmy appeared halted for 5 minutes, but there were no trades. Short hedge fund covering didn't want jump the bid ask. It was a wild moment to see a gap in time. We had sometimes we get those weird gaps do appear, and the money, and for a moment, the market makers don't flood with liquidity. The biggest one I remember was last April. The stock was trading at 176. The highest bid was around 176, but the lowest ask was $55,000. And that, when you see glimpses like that, that tells me that the only reason this stock trades at 140, 150 in that range is because liquidity is being created out of thin air by the market makers and flooding the market. Because you and I will buy that stuff all day long when it's at 150, because we know that when MOAS hits, it's going to be worth way more than that. And if the liquidity wasn't being falsely generated through naked shares, the volume would be so tiny because no one would be selling, and the price will be growing because no one is willing to sell. I'm not willing to sell at 150. I'll buy at 150, but I'm not going to sell at 150, right? And it becomes this crazy lopsided game. So I really do wonder what is going to happen if the market makers don't meet capital requirements and cannot use their position to generate these shares. Like, what's our play? What are they going to do? What's going to happen? I don't know. I think market makers should lose that power in the first place because it falsely depresses the price of stock. That, supply and demand is what it's all about. And if the supply isn't there and the demand's up, then the price should go up. You shouldn't be able to just create fake shares. I talked about this a billion times now. But, yeah. Red Z line. The Simpsons were based on Shelton, Washington. Matt Groening used to visit the town when he went to Evergreen. Fun fact. Yeah, he's from Springfield, Oregon, And I can believe that it'd be Shelton, Washington. Shelton, Washington is kind of a shithole. They don't have a nuclear plant, although there's a nuclear plant, one that didn't get finished that isn't too far away in Satsop. But they do have a giant paper mill, and it's very stinky a lot of the time. And now they got a lot of just meth. It's a lot of meth. A lot of timber guys out of work in Shelton, and a lot of meth. So I wouldn't doubt if he based it on Shelton. It makes total sense if he did. Okay. DEA got that dope. I heard they'll be shooting stars this night across Canada. Really? What meteor shower is going on right now? I have no idea what meteor showers in January. The Perseids are in August. The Leonids are in November. I have no idea which ones are going right now. B-Ball 3710. Do you think worry there will be major sell-off once these January holders get into long-term capital gains? They might day trade it. You know, if they think it's going to rip really big this month but not squeeze, you might get some day traders in that because they'll sell for a huge profit. You know, whatever they have now, they might double, triple it, the value, get out, and then buy back in next month, and then wait for the T35s in March to do it all over again. I'm sure there'll be folks who do that, but I don't think there's a large enough number of them to make a difference. The folks who day trade this stock are tiny compared to those who are just buying and holding and just riding that roller coaster up and down. I mean, if any of us had day traded the stock, we honestly would be really up on it. I mean, if you spent, let's see here, let's go to the calculator and bing, turn off the Chrome, go to the calculator. Let's just say that you bought 100 shares at $10 in December of last year, right? So for $1,000, and I'm going to actually leave it at 100 shares. So 100 shares, and you sold at 400 in January. Boom. You bought back in at 38 in February. Now you've got 1,052 shares. Then you sold at 350 in March. You're now at $368,000. You bought back in April when it dropped. I think it was 110 was the lowest in April. So now you have 40,000. Oops, I did the wrong one. Dang it. It was 368. I hit a 368,000. You bought back in at 110 in April, and you sold that again at 350 in June, and now you're at 1 million whatever. You bought back in at 148 sometime in July. You sold that for 240 in August. Now you're at almost 2 million. You bought back in at 150 in September. You sold that at 257 in November. Now you're at 3 million. You know, you could easily have turned, if you day trade this stuff, $1,000 into $3 million if you knew when to sell, when to buy, all along the way. So there might be some day traders out there that made some good fortunes off of this. The guys that did this but with options, they probably 10x that, and they're sitting at tens of millions of dollars right now. There's lots of different ways to do it. I was reading about AMC debt, and that the AMC bonds were, in 2020, the AMC bonds were at 5 cents on the dollar, right? And when January hit and the value of the stock skyrocketed, at some point this year, the AMC bonds became, 100 cents on the dollar, 1-to-1 ratio. And so you just made 20x on all of your bonds on AMC if you bought them while they were complete junk status. So there's lots of different ways folks have been making fortunes off of these meme stocks. And it's not just from the stock itself. They're doing options. They're doing they're playing puts. Like if you sell at 350 and you turn that into puts at 150 and it goes down to 110, cool. You just made $3,000 off each one of those things. Triggered them, got all your shares back. Like, there are lots of plays people can make, and there's just so many little things you got to pay attention to. And I don't have the attention span. I honestly can't be like, okay, I got to make sure I get the bonds here and the puts there and the calls here and get the stock there and then day trade this. It's just a lot of work. And that's why people have computers do this stuff for them. That's why hedge funds are like, just program the computer, it'll figure it out, and we'll just collect the money later. There's a lot, folks. There's a lot going on. Okay. We're going to scroll all the way down because I only got a few minutes left on the evening. And man, we had a good turnout tonight, though. Turns out if I get in Twitter fights, the Monday shows are always fantastic in audience. My favorite thing about the Twitter fights, I'll be debating somebody and they're like, I'm never listening to your show again. You have lost a follower. And then I look and there's like 10 more people following me than before. And then I do a show and there's plenty of you in here watching away. So, I'm not going to have any opinion of mine corralled by somebody saying like, you better believe this way or I'm not going to follow you. Like, dude, it's fucking YouTube and Twitter. Who cares? Like, I don't think people are watching me. I don't think people watch me necessarily for confirmation bias. They may get some of that out of me when I say things they happen to agree with, but I'm going to do my best to be as rational and see everything I possibly can along the way. And if I see a flaw or something that should be criticized, I will try to point that out. I'm going to try to be honest in that way if I can. And I'm sorry if it makes some people, block me on a social media program because it hurt their sensibilities. But what are you going to do? 6 months ago, you weren't watching me anyway because I didn't have this show. So there you go. Horn, honk, honk. All right. Oh, Liz, I did not see your coordinates for Super Chat. Pop those in there again. I totally missed whatever Super Chat it was that you put coordinates in. I missed it there, Liz. So pop it in the chat real quick. You don't have to Super Chat it, and I will Google it before we are done in the evening here. Purportedly stupid. I watch you for confirmation bias. Such a great name to go with that comment. Cockburp says, Houston, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Yes, like, subscribe, tell your grandma. What's the other thing? There's the alert bell. You hit the alert bell and it'll tell you when I'm about to go on. Quandratud's meteor shower. There you go. Thank you, David. Thank you for doing that one. And Liz, give me those coordinates, man. I want to see what they are. There. BTW brand gave me some. I don't know. We'll do BTWs for the moment while we wait for Liz. Google Earth, Bing, Google Earth, ding ding ding. Oh, can't understand. Oh wait, that's because there's a thing there. There we go. Okay. Oh, those are Liz's coordinates. Okay, thank you. Oh shoot, I wasn't looking where we were going. Did we go to Europe? Yeah, 2 degrees west. We are in Europe somewhere. West Wales Road. What is this? That's a big parking lot. That looks like... What is that? Got a roundabout? Do I have to go in the street view? Onto West Wales Road? I totally did not look where we were going. 50 degrees north. Are we in UK at 50 degrees north? Okay. That tree has been pruned a little bit too much. A bicycle path? We got cars galore. That guy can't park to save his life. There's a grass-domed building right there. Liz, where am I? What building is this? What is this place? Whoa, the road just changed, and this is pre-construction. What's going on? What are they building? What is this place? And construction done. Not built yet. Done. That super pruned tree. What is this place? Never had a milkshake at midnight. Fattest thing I've done in a month. Where am I? Who is... Liz, why am I here? Tell me, because I don't know where I am. Oh, wait. There's one of these things. RAF Rudlow Manor. So, Royal Air Force something going on here? Is there an airfield? What is going on? Rudlow Manor. This is where they... Come on, tell me. Tell me what you are. Was a Royal Air Force station located southeast of Bath, United Kingdom. Well, you guys can't see this on the thing. Between Box, Corsham, and Wiltshire. It was one of several military installations situated in the area and covered 3 dispersed sites. Sites are now used by Defense Digital. So that was the manor. That looks kind of cool. Let's make that big. Well, look at that. That looks like one of those things you'd see in a World War II movie where a bunch of good fellas go and get the Jerry's. Okay. So, where's the manor? The manor just get mowed down? Or is this the manor here? It's all the manor. And then they... hope that wasn't the manor. Let's go back in time. So you can go back to 1945. Ah, there you go. That's what it looked like in 45. Wait, come on. Let's go to 1985. Not really high resolution for 85. That's a pretty terrible... that looks like Landsat 30 meter, maybe even worse. Okay. 2002. Okay. So this is pre-construction. That must be the manor right there. All right. So when they build the thing. They built it before 2017. 2014 it's there. Ah. So 2006 it wasn't. So there's must be like, those must have been old barracks or something. All right, wild. Okay. All right. Do you have a connection to this place, Liz? For the manor there that was used as for the RAF? They used some cool like estates for a lot of the war things they had back then. Rest in peace, nice. Oh, they must have mowed that building down. Ah, bummer, man. All right, we'll do one more. I got. Oh, it's got underground tunnels. UFO military base. I see. All right. Well, maybe with MOAS we can get our own tunneling machines and go check it out anyway. All right, we'll do one more with Twinzac, and then I'll probably be it for the evening. And other than doing, where are we going? We're going Australia? Australia. Boom. Gold Coast somewhere. It's a nice beach. Where am I? What's going on here? Bruce Highway. Shall I zoom in and see what kind of roadside attraction we've got here? Come on, get me in there. Well, got some extended cars doing weird stuff. Got a lovely giant, is that a papaya? Got one testicle hanging out of Australia here. Can I go see that papaya? Will you allow me to go see the papaya? I want to go see the papaya. I can't see what that says. I can't read that. Well, let me zoom in. I sure hope that when I play a GeoGuessr, it drops me on this papaya one of these days. I'll know exactly where I am. Which is... Where am I? I'm along somewhere near the Gold Coast, I believe. Yeah, Bowen, Queensland. Somewhere out there along the lovely tropical waters. You guys are so weird. Okay, folks. That's it. Monkey butt? Monkey butt. Do you want to say goodbye? Do you want to say goodbye? Come on. Come on. Let's do our thing. Come here. Come on. Here, get in there. Get in there, monkey butt. Stretch it out. We're going to say goodbye to everybody. Bye, everybody. Get a shot of my butt here. We'll see you guys tomorrow for some Twitch and Wednesday for some real show. How's that sound? Okay. Bye-bye.